It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse for Japan when it comes to credit card companies. Yes, NicoNico, one of the biggest platforms in Japan. It's pretty much, for those who don't know, it's the YouTube of Japan. It is the streaming platform where people put up their content. They like to do live streams and whatnot there. Yes, they have recently, just like literally the other day, mentioned that they are going to be stopping payment processing with Visa. Now, this is kind of one of those situations where when this popped up in my feed, I really wasn't sure what I was going to take from it. Is this simply a case of them not liking chargebacks or transaction fees, something like that? It can be something other than, yes, what is happening a lot right now, which is these credit card companies sort of putting a strong arm on different businesses in order to force them to abide by their rules. It is that idea, if you won't do what I tell you to do, we're going to hit you where your money's at. And that is happening a lot lately. I mean, obviously, a lot of people will remember the whole situation with DL Site. We'll know the situation with Pixiv here recently. There's a lot of signs that these credit card companies are essentially pressuring companies to do their bidding. Otherwise, they'll stop doing transactions for them. What they basically put on their website is an important announcement regarding a temporary suspension of payments of NicoNico premium membership fees with Visa. Thank you for always using NicoNico. Due to various circumstances, that various circumstances thing, from May 10th, payments of premium membership fees with Visa will be temporarily suspended. They're saying temporary suspension here, so it seems like they're trying to work something out. So that's kind of up in the air there, why exactly they would be doing this. It seems like this is forced, obviously. This isn't like something where they're like, oh yeah, we're still hunky-dory, but we're going to stop for right now. This is obviously forced, because otherwise they wouldn't have something like this that happens on the turn of a dime. There's obviously somebody saying, do this, we're not going to do this, okay, we're not going to do transactions with you anymore, and thus NicoNico seems to be having to break away from at least that payment processing. Now, like I said earlier, this just says simply temporary suspension. This doesn't really tell me anything as to why it's happening. Again, with the whole situation with DL Site and Pixiv, you can infer what's going on there. It's specifically having to do with mature content. Now, whenever I think of NicoNico, I don't really necessarily think of mature content. Yes, there's a lot of risky stuff on there, but nothing that is like R18. And if it is R18, they basically ban it. They take it off the platform. But there's still the idea that there is a lot of content on there. There's a lot of anime on there. A lot of our anime that we watch on a regular basis is streaming on that platform. But nothing here tells me why Nico Video itself is being attacked, or at least targeted by a credit card company. That's when I started looking a little bit deeper to realize that this isn't the first case. This isn't the first case of this happening. Just last year, they had this same situation happen with Mastercard. So this is sort of a process. This has happened before, and it's still happening again. I think there's some people that have been inferring that the whole situation with Mastercard, which again is the same situation here, request for payment suspension and change procedures for some paid services with Mastercard. So they were suspending this as well. So this is kind of the same situation. Due to various circumstances, once again, we have decided to temporarily suspend payments from paid services using Mastercard around November 8th of 2023. So this has happened before. This isn't NicoNico's first rodeo. So this starts to make me believe that there's more stuff happening. And it does seem like, based on a lot of comments, especially from Japanese users around these two specific announcements, they're coming to the same conclusion. Over here, we have all these other sites that are having problems with adult content, and now suddenly over here, it's happening with NicoNico. It is sort of, yes, a lot of people making the connection between the two of them, but it seems like it is for an obviously correct assumption that you can possibly have with that. Sadly, NicoNico themselves is not saying anything. They didn't say anything with the Mastercard situation. They didn't say anything with this situation. You can find articles here and there where people are talking about with the Mastercard situation that it may be tied to a lot of very questionable videos that were coming up. People were getting notifications from NicoNico that they were having to remove their videos because it was inappropriate and it was causing issues with Mastercard specifically. But I can't really fully verify those particular comments, but they are out there. But again, you can draw that conclusion. This is something that happens a lot with Western companies even, where something is put up that is offensive, and those companies are responding to payment transaction companies because people are going to them and saying, oh my gosh, you're supporting this website? How dare you? Again, if you can't get a company to do what you want them to do, you go to their money. And once you go to their money, suddenly things happen. And this is seemingly a lot of the case where it's the company itself that is handling the money that is going directly and saying, I want you to do what I want you to do. Take this stuff off of there. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel here. Unlike Pixiv, unlike DL Site, unlike a lot of Japanese websites that are smaller that are having to essentially cave into the desires of these credit card companies, NicoNico is saying no. Now, sadly, NicoNico is able to do that because they're big enough. This is a big company. They get hundreds of millions of views a month. This is a massive platform. Again, it's pretty much their YouTube. So they are technically big enough that they can say, well, no, screw you. We're not going to do that. They are saying, okay, Mastercard, I'm sorry we couldn't do business. Okay, Visa, sorry we couldn't do business. And yes, technically they do have other alternate platforms. They have alternate ways that they can go about making their money. A lot of people are pointing out different Japanese banks that they can do, prepaid cards that they can do, which, yes, sucks for anybody overseas because a lot of people that are over here, which is, yes, not technically a large portion of the viewership on NicoNico, there is a lot of people that are watching a lot of VTubers and whatnot on that platform that aren't going to be able to get those premium specific live streams. So hopefully they can find an alternative way in order to pay into NicoNico. But again, the positive thing here is that NicoNico is saying, no, we're not going to censor ourselves. We're not going to change things the way that you want it. And that, I think, is a powerful message to a lot of these other platforms. And I think, especially with the situation with NicoNico, if this is the case of them being strong-armed by credit card companies, it's a good thing to wake them up. I think Japanese companies need to wake up to these overseas credit card companies and build up their own banks, do a lot of their own transactions and a lot of their own fees. Because if they don't, this is going to keep happening. And I think this is a big wake-up call for them. Okay, somebody as big as NicoNico is now being attacked. We need to change something. We need to stop relying on Visa. We need to stop relying on, I think even American Express was getting involved as well. We need to stop relying on Mastercard. We need to set up our own payment transactions so that we can have our own autonomy. Otherwise, we're just going to become whatever they want us to become. And they're not us. They're not our business. If we listen to them, they obviously know that if we listen to them, our website's going to fail. Because that's how it works on the internet. If you don't provide what the user wants, putting aside that, yes, there's all these lewd offerings on there, but that's what's making them money. And as soon as you give that up, guess what happens? People go elsewhere, and your company's going to fail. Visa doesn't care if you fail, so why would you form your company around the biddings of Visa? Because if you fall apart, they're not going to care. They're making money from you, but they don't care if your company fails. They just want to make you do what they want to make you to do. But at the end of the day, your own well-being is your own responsibility. So if you keep relying on them, at this point, you're going to fail. And again, good on NicoNico for standing up for themselves. I mean, it says temporary. But again, technically, I think the whole situation with Mastercard was temporary, but it doesn't seem like that has changed at all. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what comes in the future. And again, it could turn out that it's just transaction fees or something like that. But it was interesting to kind of look through all these responses, and really, like, a majority of them are basically saying, yes, some of them are upset because, hey, I'm losing my ability to do this. I only have Visa. A lot of other people are saying, you use JCB. Use some other service. Do not use Visa. They're happy that they're kind of moving away from this. And yes, a lot of them are assuming this is censorship. Some of us are going, yeah, they should get rid of that stuff. That way we can keep our stuff the way it is. But most of the people are realizing, yeah, this is a bad thing. You guys they're trying to control us, and you really shouldn't allow that. So they're Japanese users are waking up to it, and they've been waking up to it, and they're tired of the West messing with their content, and I feel bad for them. I can't say that I apologize for them because I wouldn't want to do all this stuff, but I am sad that these companies have got as much power as they do. But anyways, that's my take on this whole situation. Again, we don't really have 100% exactly what NicoNico did. It's not like the Pixiv situation or DL Site situation where you can infer based on the action they're taking that it's obviously because R8 content or R18 content. But NicoNico, I mean, again, based on previous situations with Mastercard, you can probably say they've been constantly having issues with these companies, and they're not wanting to change their algorithms, change their videos, change their contents to fit their needs. And I think, again, if that's the case, they should be praised for it. But, hope you liked this video. So if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what you think of this whole situation. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button's on my content. I do news reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support channel more, I have Patreon link, tips, links, so thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate it if it does, and y'all take care.